Hi, I'm Simon Rose, founder of RPT. I'd really love to talk to you about our Level 2 course and the benefits of doing 1 and 2 together as a package. On the Level 2 course, I'm going to show you something completely different than what you've learned before. Any other healing technique, RPT1 or anything else, follows this old model of starting with the symptom and searching to try to find the cause, which you often can't find because it's often unknown. The Level 2 technique is the exact opposite. We start with the cause and then clear the symptoms. How can you do that? I hear you asking, how can you start with the cause if you don't know the cause? Actually, there's a very clever way. Turns out that there's a certain number of key points in our development, these are formative moments in what shape us. And these key points hold the answers or explanations for a very high percent of what constitutes the human condition. So, not everything, but a very big percentage of our problems with health and money and relationships and so forth can be attributed to these developmental events. And there's a number of these events, and I'm going to quickly describe a few of them to you and explain how they can affect us. The key for you to know is this. Once you know these limited number of events, I say 20 points, once you know them and you know how to change them, you're able to solve a very, very wide range of problems without spending years digging to find this unknown cause. Okay. Of these developmental events, they fit broadly into two categories. We can call them emotional, spiritual, and biological. In the first category, emotional, spiritual, we have things like the conception moment. What was happening in our field, in our system, when mum and dad came together to conceive us. It might sound a little bit strange to you, why are we talking about our conception? But the story of our conception, and that's what it is, it's a story, that story can have an impact on us, on our psyche. I'm going to share with you a slightly embarrassing but funny story. When I was a child and I was a bit naughty, when I was misbehaving, my dad would turn to my mum and he would say, "Don't blame me, I was asleep when he was conceived." And that was the joke of my childhood. And I think it must have had some impact on me because I can actually remember being 10 or 12 years old, and my father actually sat me down and he said, "Listen, I want you to know I was joking all the times I said that. You really were wanted. I was only joking." But I think the damage was done. I had this story in my head, my dad was asleep at my conception. And many years later, when I developed a technique called reconception, I was able to go in and feel what really happened and understand the significance where my parents didn't connect because of that story, and to change that within. And it was amazing how it had a profound effect on my self-worth. Now, that's just me, my own funny story, but each of you have your own story, even if you don't know it, even if you couldn't consciously tell me anything about it, because you don't really want to visualize your parents having sex, I understand that. But inside of you, it's had an impact. And what we do is a kind of like a meditation of going within and feeling the energy of our conception. But there's a clever way of doing it where you don't need to visualize anything. What we do is we imagine mum and dad as separate beings, almost as like balls of light. The extent to which they come together are these spheres, are these consciousnesses touching or not touching? Are they connecting or not connecting? So it's a very safe, not too visual way of understanding how mum and dad actually came together at our connection. And then we use our RPT techniques to actually change that. The techniques we use are those taught on the Level 1 course. So it's the process of de-armoring mum and de-armoring dad, taking away the blocks that they have where they're shielding and protecting each other, not wanting to come together. And once we've de-armored them, they can come together as one, and we can achieve a new consciousness of our conception. It's incredibly powerful. And that's what we do on the first day of the Level 2 course. So the first day is an opportunity to really deepen our practice of the Level 1 technique, to get a really deep insight into how we can use de-armoring, not just for ourselves, but for our parents and for others, and to get this amazing, amazing result, which is very, very powerful for improving self-worth, healing depression. In fact, it can be used to treat a very wide range of problems, especially inherited problems, where you otherwise don't know the cause. So the first chunk, the first third of our Level 2 course is this reconception. The second part, which goes for about a day and a half, is the biological story. The biological story is the journey of the sperm and the egg, the actual sperm and egg that made you, to see how the journey of the sperm and egg has influenced our personality. And this is something you can interpret as a metaphor if you struggle with it as being biological. I believe it's true biologically and as a metaphor, and I'll give you some examples. I think the easiest one to understand and to visualize is the journey of the egg, in particular at the moment of fertilization. So for example, you could imagine this is the egg, and it's a cell, and it's happy being an egg. Everything's fine, it's an egg, nothing wrong. And suddenly the egg becomes aware of some noise, some activity around, and let's say that there's an army, be colorful, there's an army of marching sperm. They come and they slam into the egg, because that's their purpose. The purpose, job description of the sperm is to penetrate the egg, to violate, to open up, and ultimately to fertilize that egg. And because the sperm are fighting to be the winner, it's quite an aggressive territorial energy, and of course the egg's reacting to that. Now, I'm not pretending that the egg has full consciousness and full, insight and thoughts and feelings. It's just a cell, but a cell can react. Even the simplest single-cell organism has an understanding of there's a foreign invader, there's a threat, there's a violation of my cell walls, and that leaves a kind of a signature. Let's call it a chemical marker, or what's called an epigenetic change in the egg. And the egg will respond to that in different ways, and that ultimately can have an impact on us. Now, here's an experiment that I've run, and you could do this yourself. I've taken thousands of people through this visualization of pretending to be the egg, and the sperm comes and the sperm penetrates the egg. And I've noticed a wide range of responses, but broadly speaking, two categories. There's a category of people who react actually very negatively. They feel invaded, and they feel, when they're imagining that they're the egg, they feel abused. There's another category of people that are really fine with it. They're like, hey, that's cool. I was fertilized, not a problem at all. What's the difference between these two groups of people? In my research, the first group, where the egg feels invaded, these are the same people who have a history of abuse in their life, whether that's sexual abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, or any other way in which they feel invaded. It's a pattern for them. And the second group, where the egg feels fine, they don't have that pattern. They haven't been abused, and they're fine. They don't have that problem. So there's a very high correlation between the people who have had abuse in their life and the people who perceive that abuse in the egg. Let's call it a 95% correlation. Now, I can't tell you that that's causation. I can't tell you that those people were abused in their life because they were abused in the egg. No, I don't know that. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they're projecting the abuse at the egg because of what's happened in their life. I don't know which way the causation goes. But here's what I do know, and this is the bit that's really important for you. So if you just get one bit from this video, this is it. You don't need to talk to the person about the abuse in their life. You don't need to go through one by one to heal all of a person's abuse traumas. You should acknowledge the traumas and then heal the egg. And I've seen the most miraculous results on this. So for example, I've had clients or students on the level 2 course who have a long history of abuse. I'm talking hundreds of separate moments of abuse, which they've written down for me. I was 1 year old and this happened. I was 2 and this happened. I was 3 and this happened. A whole long list of terrible, terrible abuses, some sexual, financial, emotional, physical, different types. We acknowledge it, and then we go through. We pretend to be the egg as it's invaded by the sperm. And we use our techniques. For example, from the level 1 course, we use techniques to heal the trauma of the egg until the egg feels happy and empowered. Then we come back and I ask this woman, tell me about the story of your life. What happened when you were 1? What happened when you were 2? When you were 3? And it's gone. Without talking about it, without reliving it, without going through, one by one, every trauma, which could take 10 years. Just in one simple 20-minute process of healing the egg, all of those traumas disappeared. When I first saw this myself, which was about 10 years ago now, I even couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that it's that simple and that powerful. But it really is. Because when you know these key moments in the journey, and you know how to change those key moments, you can heal and dissolve every trauma, every negative characteristic which relates to that or corresponds to that. So again, and I say this to the skeptics out there, I'm not telling you that it's causation. I don't know enough to say this causes this. I think it does. I don't know. But what I do know is there's a very high correlation, and healing one heals the other. So if you did 20 years of therapy and you healed every abuse in your whole life and then went back to the egg would be happy. Or if you did 20 minutes of therapy and healed the egg, all of those traumas have gone. It seems to work both ways. I suggest that you do it the 20-minute way, not the 20-year way, and that's why you should do the level 2 course. There's about 15 of these biological moments. I just picked that one with the egg, but there's many of them following the journey of the sperm and the egg right through, and they do affect, each one does affect different aspects of our personality, and you tend to find everyone has a very strong charge at a few of them, but everyone's different. Like some people really have that egg one and maybe nothing in the sperm. Other people really relate to the sperm's journey, which is about being territorial, which is about masculine energies and aggression and struggle and so on. And some people really relate to that and their egg is fine, right? Other people relate to different aspects of the egg journey, but everyone finds that there's one or two key moments of that sperm and egg journey which, when you unlock it, will really unlock big, big changes in your personality. So I'm really excited about the level 2 course. It is a brand new sort of aspect of healing, and I'd love to show it to you. So the first day was reconception, then we have a day and a half of this developmental events, and the final half day is the journey of the soul. It's also an emotional and metaphorical journey, but very, very important for healing certain kinds of problems, particularly around ego and control. So that's what very often the soul holds at, or rather it can be the conflict and struggle between the soul and the body can really create ego issues in a person and that need to control. And when you can balance the two, bring soul and body together in harmony, those issues dissolve. And again, I want to say for the skeptics, you don't have to believe in the soul. I don't know if I do. To me, it's a really powerful metaphor. Whether it's real or not real doesn't really matter, because it works as a metaphor and we can heal it using that metaphor, and it brings profound changes in our life. So I really recommend the level 2 course for anyone. It's 3 of the most powerful transformational days you can do. It does really change everything. I also really recommend doing level 1 and 2 together for a couple of reasons. The level 2 course gives you a chance to really practice the level 1 techniques. Okay? So level 2 is a different structure, but the underlying technique for change is the same as in level 1. So just doing level 2 immediately after level 1 will give you the practice to actually get the confidence to go out and use all of these techniques. Okay, so at the end of level 1, you know the technique, but you really need practice, maybe some more demonstrations and examples. So by the end of level 2, you have the full package of RPT. You know all the techniques, you know how they work, and you're ready to actually go out and practice it on yourself and others. So level 2 is great, and it's really ideal, if you can, to do level 1 and 2 together to get the whole set and to go on, if you're ready, to be a practitioner of RPT. So I really hope to see you there. I hope that these videos have inspired you, sparked your imagination, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on one of our RPT courses.